What is the best Star Wars movie poster? Well, to answer that, I think we need to narrow things down a bit. What is a Star War?
Here's some money, go see a Star War.
So I'm gonna proceed under the assumption that you know what Star Wars is. But when it comes to movie posters, what are we talking here? Original trilogy, prequel trilogy, sequel trilogy? I'm just kidding. Of course we're not talking about the sequel trilogy. There's the Star Wars saga movies, then there's the animated stuff, the Lego horror tie-in stuff, the Disney Plus shows that are coming out as movies, Andor, which is just so f***ing good it should be its own separate thing. We gotta narrow this down, or this video is gonna approach H-Bomber Guy runtimes. Okay, if you happen to have a Star Wars movie poster on your wall, I'm willing to bet it's from the original trilogy. Maybe this one? And you stare at it and you think, symbolism, darkness, the prophecy must not be trained. And I'm here to tell you this version was better. And hey, that's cool. Like what you like, but
I'm not a big fan of photos for movie ads. I like to see a painting.
So I think we're gonna narrow this down to the original trilogy and toss all that other stuff aside. Sorry, buddy. What's the best poster? Well, I'd say, for me, that's actually pretty easy. The best Star Wars posters are a set of 3 posters from renowned artist Ollie Moss, released in 2010 through Mondo, a publishing and distribution company that releases licensed products like posters, vinyl soundtracks, and other collectibles, not to mention fantastic tiki mugs. Only 400 of these posters were screen printed, hand numbered, and sold, so if you're hoping to pick up a complete set, auctions have reached as high as $12,000.
What?
Hang on a second though, are these movie posters? Those are typically defined as paper posters that were released to movie theaters in order to advertise a movie playing there. They weren't sold to the public and would travel from theater to theater along with the film print until eventually ending their run and most likely being thrown away. Posters that were reprinted and sold to the public are reprints. People still refer to them as movie posters, but in the collecting world, they're known as either commercial posters or just reprints. These are usually referred to as alt posters or art prints. So technically, these aren't movie posters. We gotta narrow this down even further.
You must do what you feel is right, of course.
Artist Ralph McQuarrie created a vast amount of concept artwork while George Lucas was still finishing his script for Star Wars, and those included a number of poster mock-ups. Film marketer Charles Lippincot's design firm also created a large number of mock-ups, but the actual first Star Wars poster ever produced was a small run of 1,000 posters by comic book artist Howard Chaykin. These were sent to comic book stores and sold at conventions, but they weren't sent to theaters, so again, we gotta rule this out, but this is technically the first Star Wars poster. The first poster ever sent to theaters was this text-based teaser one-sheet. 2 different versions were issued, this standard black and white version and a much rarer version printed on reflective silver mylar. The W in the Star Wars logo is pointy here, which was also the case in some of the early marketing mock-ups. A second blue version was eventually released with a much larger Star Wars logo and that now famous opening line. These text teaser posters will set you back between 1 and 3,000 for the original black and white version to almost 4,000 for the foil poster in good condition. But who just wants plain text? Sell this movie to me.
I like to see a painting.
Enter artist Tom Young. The results of Young's work would completely change the game when it comes to movie posters. His original sketch feels very reminiscent of fantasy artist Frank Frazetta, who he was hoping to collaborate with on this poster. And it features some interesting text that sort of ignores a few key plot points in the film. Young's design was refined into the eventual Style A poster that we're all familiar with today. Leia's hair buns and outfit are updated, plus she steals Han's blaster. The design of the Death Star is added. Luke is wearing some shin guards that actually look a lot like Vader's shin guards, but in white, and Luke just gets progressively more and more jacked. The droids were apparently added later by artist Nick Cardy, and you can kind of tell it feels like it disrupts the composition a little. Tom Young also designed a half-sheet poster for the film, which contains more details, and there's some conflicting reports on which design he finished first. In the half sheet, we have Luke looking upward and appearing to the side, and on the main Style A one sheet, Luke's upward stare has been replaced by this same face. Young's original mock-up for this poster sold for over $45,000 $100,000 without the droids, and his original artwork for the Style A poster sold for $73,000 without the droids.
What's their droid?
So if you want to pick up an original of this poster, collectors get wildly specific about this one. Apparently there were 4 different printings, each with a international and domestic version. If you're after a poster from that very first printing, you can expect to pay between $3,000 and $4,000. Lucasfilm apparently thought this poster was too dark and wanted something a little more colorful and lively.
What?
So they turned to twin brothers Greg and Tim Hildebrandt to create a new version of the same design. The Hildebrandt brothers were known for their fantasy artwork, often depicting scenes from Tolkien's books. The poster is extremely bold, with more color and overall contrast added to Young's original design. And apparently George Lucas loved it so much, he asked the brothers to enlarge their own signature. This was the poster that was predominantly featured in newspaper print campaigns and marquees. They were printed as UK quads, a British horizontal movie poster format, and they go for between $3,000 and $5,000. The Style B US one sheet was sold directly to fans through the Star Wars fan club a few years later and goes for just a few hundred. Next up was artist Tom Chantrell and his Style C poster, and he was the first artist that actually got to see some of the movie before creating the artwork. The result is a happy marriage between Young's fantasy style character staging and the bold colors of the Hildebrandt brothers. Everyone looks like themselves now, and the poster plays a lot with scale. Look at Chewbacca about to bite Luke's ass. This poster to me does feel a little less grand, less epic, at least on the one sheet, whereas the UK quad gives the artwork some breathing room and increases the scale and wow factor in my opinion. If you'd like to pick up an original Style C one sheet, you're looking at around $3,000, and around the same for the superior quad. Star Wars was in theaters for a long time, so long that they even released a 1-year birthday poster for the film, which is wild. They also wanted to refresh the artwork and come out with a Style D movie poster, and this is when the late great artist Drew Struzan was first tasked with representing Star Wars on a poster, something he would go on to define in the coming decades. Struzan partnered with artist Charles White on the poster, with Struzan handling the portrait work while White did the vehicles and airbrushing. Their original composition didn't leave enough space for the text, so they opted to create a border that made the poster look like it had been placed on a wall outside, giving it a very unique and distinctive look. And you can pick up an original for a few $100, making it the cheapest Star Wars poster that was released during its original theatrical run. There were also posters made for theatrical re-releases, international re-releases, immunizations, Star Wars Live in Concert, which gave 3PO an ample bulge, and R2-D2 an ample bosom, and tons of commercial posters available for fans to slap on their 1970s walls.
Luke, Han, and the Princess's story didn't end with the destruction of the Death Star. It continues in The Empire Strikes Back.
The marketing for Empire Strikes Back feels a little more focused. Now they were dealing with a world-renowned property, and to whet the public's appetite for more, a teaser poster was created. Vader glistens against sparkling stars, promising the return of everyone's favorite villain, and the tagline from Star Wars' original teaser is used again. The bottom border of this teaser poster labels the film as Star Wars 2, which I imagine pissed off Lucas to no end.
You guys, it's episode 5.
You can find one of these original teaser posters for a little over $500. For the main Style A1 sheet, they turned to artist Roger Castle, famous for creating the book cover artwork for Jaws that was eventually used for the movie poster. Reportedly, the direction from George Lucas was that he wanted Gone with the Wind, and that's certainly what he got. Lucasfilm requested a large amount of elements, which can all be seen on the UK quad and the back cover of the soundtrack on vinyl. But for the US one sheet, these were eventually pared back with the removal of Cloud City, Boba Fett, a firing ion cannon, and somewhat controversially, Lando Calrissian.
Sorry I couldn't do better, but I got my own problems.
He was one of the only characters to not be included on the poster, so an apology phone call was made to Billy D. Williams' agent with the promise that he would appear on the next poster.
Perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly?
No.
Good.
An original Style A poster will run you between $2,000 and $4,000, unless you're after one of the rarest and most expensive Star Wars posters in existence, the test printings of this Gone with the Wind style. There are reportedly less than 10 in existence, and they can fetch as high as $26,000 at auction.
Hello, what have we here?
They contain all of the original elements of Roger Castle's artwork, along with his original color palette, which is much more saturated and dynamic. For the Style B poster, the executives at 20th Century Fox wanted something more action-oriented, and they once again turned to the master, Tom Young. He delivered a packed-out montage of Vader summoning his minions with a raised hand, clearly having never skipped leg day. Lando appears on this one, albeit a little small, and Luke looks like he's about to have his head cut off. A Style B original poster will set you back between $1,000 and $3,000. Tom Young reworked his design for subsequent theatrical re-releases of the film, one of which I happen to own. I love the 3D title on this, the overall color scheme, and these exploding AT-ATs. Or are they pronounced AT-ATs? AT-ATs? One of the most impressive pieces of Star Wars artwork that I know of is the Japanese poster for Empire from artist Noriyoshi Orai. The poster is filled with bold contrast and exquisite details. I love how textured it all is and just f***ing cool. Just like its predecessor, The Empire Strikes Back garnered plenty of product tie-in prints, commercial posters, and even a radio event where 3PO looks like he's ready to drop his latest diss track. Wookiees, they're not like us.
After all, he's only a Wookiee. Only an overgrown mophead like you would be stupid enough.
Also, a quick shout out to artist Matt Ferguson for creating the 40th anniversary poster for Empire. Me, it's good. The snow and everything being encapsulated in Vader's meditation chamber. Amazing work. I need to pick up one of these.
The next chapter in the Star Wars saga, Revenge of the Jedi.
In the autumn of 1982, artist Drew Struzan was approached to create a poster for the third entry in the Star Wars franchise, then titled Revenge of the Jedi. Struzan didn't have much to work from as the story details were being kept under wraps, and his resulting poster is a powerful work of color and form. Simplistic but deeply impactful, with the promise of an epic conclusion to the personal battle between Vader and Skywalker. The colors of their lightsabers were incorrect, owing to Struzan working off of black and white promo stills from The Empire Strikes Back. And it seems that Star Wars fans never let him forget it.
And it never crossed my mind that people would pick on what color they were. And it became, one of those great Star Wars issues.
This poster has become somewhat infamous, so let me break down why. As the story goes, the Struzan artwork was sent to a printing house called Gore Graphics, and thousands of posters were created with the original title Revenge of the Jedi. But then George Lucas realized that a Jedi's principles wouldn't allow for revenge and changed the title to Return of the Jedi. By this point, many posters had already been shipped to theaters, and a Lucasfilm representative physically went to Gore Graphics and demanded the destruction of all the remaining posters that hadn't been shipped out yet, which they dutifully placed in a large paper shredder and destroyed.
You really have to do that right now? Yes, I do. I should have done this weeks ago, actually.
However, apparently Lucasfilm held back 6,800 of the posters and sold them through the Star Wars official fan club for $9.50 each. They sold out in 3 days. Adjusted for inflation, Lucasfilm made $217,430 on that sale, which helped to offset the budget for the Ewoks' costly cocaine habit. There are two versions of this poster, one with the original release date of May 25th, 1983, and one with no date. The one with no date is the more rare and valuable version. And so a legend was born, Revenge of the Jedi, the most valuable movie poster in existence. Except that it's not. You can pick one of these up, an original, not a reprint, for between $3,000 and $5,000, putting it in the same range as the majority of the Star Wars theatrical one-sheets. Remember, there were thousands of these posters that were sent to theaters and sold to fans, which is a far cry from the less than 10 Empire test posters that sell for $25,000. For the now Return of the Jedi style A one-sheet, Lucasfilm wanted something poetic and visually representative of the whole trilogy. Artist Tim Reamer created this poster featuring hands holding a lightsaber, and the hand model is reportedly George Lucas himself. Lucas posed for photographs holding up the lightsaber while Reamer worked off those stills and added the Death Star in the distance and the space motif. I think the hands are supposed to represent Luke's hands, which is interesting when you think about it because Luke is actually missing a hand. It was lopped off while holding a lightsaber. This poster might be triggering for my guy. No! You can pick up a Style A one-sheet for not too much these days, between $200 to $500. For the Style B poster, Lucasfilm apparently made one request: Slave Leia.
What? Oh.
and artist Kazuhiko Sano obliged. Leia is center stage and pretty hard to miss in this one sheet, and I've always loved Luke's windswept appearance and the details on the Death Star in the background. Apparently, the only studio note that Sano received was to make Lando larger, which he wasn't able to do in time for some of the posters being printed, which is why Lando is a lot smaller in the Japanese version. Also, it's crazy that this pig man made it on the poster while Chewbacca is nowhere to be seen. You can pick up a Style B poster for a few $100s, or in my case, $175. I've always loved this poster and it's somewhat affordable. Plus, it's the first Star Wars movie that came out when I was actually alive. And this is the first one that I saw, even though it's the third, or sixth. Well, it's time. The Ewoks are celebrating, doing their happy teddy bear dances, drumming on the severed heads of their vanquished foes while Vader smolders in the distance. Me, that's dark when you think about it. It's hugs all around, the battle is won, yub nub. That you took is starting to kick in and glowing wizard men are appearing. It's time to decide. What's the best Star Wars movie poster? Well, all I can really share is my opinion, and for me, it's gotta be that original Tom Young 1977 style A1 sheet. I gotta go with the original. I know it's the first one, but in my opinion, it is the best. It's crazy that Lucasfilm considered this to be too dark because there's some dark that happens in Star Wars. Luke's uncle and aunt are smoking in the sand. People are losing limbs at bars. Greedo gets straight up murdered.
Sorry about the mess.
I really love the colors in the Hildebrandt version, and I would say certain aspects of that poster are a huge improvement, but there's something mysterious about this original Tom Young version. I love it, and I wish I could afford an original, and maybe one day I will. Collecting posters like this is expensive and a potential investment, but stick with me a moment longer because I want to tell you about one more poster. It's affordable and it's honestly one of my favorites. I want you to look up and visit your local record store. Record stores are magical places. Even if you don't collect vinyl, they're just interesting to visit. Start to flip through what they have on offer. Just that simple tactile action to me is way more interesting than any amount of stream browsing ever could be. Flip through, see what they've got, and if you're lucky, you'll find the original vinyl 1977 soundtrack to Star Wars. It has a rather bland black and white cover, but it more than makes up for it with what's inside. Bring home the record and open up that gatefold. You should find a folded poster. Unfold it and take a look at my actual favorite Star Wars poster, painted by an artist that apparently never bothered to see the film, John Berkey. I love the scene this poster creates, the sense of speed and kinetic energy. I feel like I'm there. If you're as big a fan of this as I am, order a 24x36 frame with a mat, drop this in, and you've got an incredible piece of art to put up on your wall, all for around $100. It's original, it's Star Wars, this is my favorite. For now, and that might change in a little bit, that's part of the joy of poster collecting. So what is your favorite Star Wars movie poster? Which one made the biggest impression on you? Which one is up on your wall? And why is it this one?
This is very, very bad.
Please let me know down in the comments and hit those like and subscribe buttons if you think I've earned it. If you'd like your own copy of the vinyl soundtrack, poster included, while supporting me and my channel, head on over to my Patreon where I'm going to be giving one of these away. I do a wheel spin and ship all of my prizes worldwide. So head there to find out more. I really appreciate the support. Well, thank you so much for coming with me along this journey to a galaxy far, far away. I hope you learned something, and remember, when it comes to movies and movie posters, there is so much to celebrate, and I can't wait to show you more.
In the Star Wars movies, we actors have had to work alongside the bad, the ugly, the cute, and the cuddly.
I didn't envy Carrie Fisher. How do you have a meaningful relationship with a 3-ton slug?
He is what he is. He doesn't feel the need to be charming or anything. He's just an unpretentious, very straightforward guy. And I love him.